if you want to like be forever young, then you have to have habits that will keep you forever young.
Swinging frog men of the UDT.
Hi, this is Mark Devine with the Unbeatable Mind podcast. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to have a really interesting show, and it's going to be a solo cast, so I hope you're up for that. Before I really get into what we're going to talk about, I'd like to just let you know that on November 9th, 6 of us and a heck of a lot of other folks who are going to join in the party are doing a 24-hour quest to break the world record for most number of burpees done by a mixed gender team of 6. I know, every time I say that, I kind of crack up, like, who knew that there was a world record? Well, there is. We found out, and we decided to go after it. So on November 9th, we're going to do this at CrossFit 2120 in Del Mar, which is my friend Dan Miller's place, former SealFit coach. And then we've invited teams to join us virtually and kind of zoom in. So you can, if you have a gym or if you work at a gym, or if you just want to kind of join us for either the whole 24 hours or half of it and contribute to our Burpees for Vets challenge, then this whole initiative is to try to plus up our total. We're at about 12 million burpees. We're shooting for 22 million. So on Veterans Day weekend, we're hoping to add a couple more million to that total because we will not rest until we're done. So our goal is 22,000 burpees between the 6 of us. Pretty sure we're going to crush it. So we'll see how that goes. Burpeesforvets.com. Check that out and support us if you can. Support the vets. It's all going to a very important cause because 22 veterans a day are committing suicide. We want to do our part. So we're suffering a little bit for those who suffered for us already. All right. Also, our Unbeatable Mind Summit is coming up. If you have not gotten in on that, then check it out at summit.unbeatablemind.com. And if you use the code POD300, you can get $300 discount. But that's coming up November 29 to December 2nd. It's a really incredible event in Carlsbad, California. 3 days of fun in the sun with lots of unbeatable mind training. Okay. So I've been doing some solo casts, gotten great feedback on them. Typically what I've done is read a draft chapter of a book I've been working on. I want to continue doing that, but not today. I have gotten a lot of really great questions from our social media platforms and actually did a Facebook Live Q&A session recently. And it was so much fun. And the questions were so awesome that I decided to kind of go over some of these questions. And we asked for more after that. And just kind of give you some perspective, or my perspective, I guess, on some of these issues that are, maybe keeping you awake at night or you're just kind of curious about. So why not get right into it? All right. And I don't have any of this scripted, so we'll just see what comes up here. First question is from my friend, JC Glick. Actually, JC is a former Ranger Lieutenant Colonel. I just wrote a foreword for his book, which is going to come out next year, which I'm really excited about, all about warrior leadership. So we're going to have fun with that. I'll do a podcast with him when we get ready for that. And I think I did a podcast with him once before on leadership. I did, yeah. Anyways, there you have it. JC's question is, what are your thoughts on practice doesn't make perfect? Practice makes permanent. So be careful. You can get really good at the wrong thing. I think that's awesome. I really like that. So let me start by just clarifying or thinking around some definitions. So what is practice? Practice to me is any time that you do something repetitively in an effort to improve. And that could be a physical skill, like an athletic skill, or, for those of us in the military or the warrior traditions or warrior arts, some sort of, physical movement, like a sword strike or drawing and firing your weapon and that type of thing. So there's a repetitive nature to it, but there's some also outcome, right, that you're looking for. You're looking to improve your skills. I almost said perfect, but I don't know if that's accurate. Now, perfection, what does it mean to be perfect? I think that, a lot of people think that there is a perfect or flawless form of a movement. I think that's not accurate because there's so many variables involved and so many different ways to express a movement or a character or a skill that there really isn't any like singular way you can define perfection. And in fact, if you wanted to, pan out and look at humanity or human being, the human being is perfect as it is. We can just do things either really well or not so well or really poorly. And so that's why we practice. We practice not to be perfect human beings, but to improve a skill and get it to the highest level of refinement so that we achieve the outcomes we're looking for, right? So back to the question JC asks is, practice doesn't make perfect, but it makes permanent. Be careful what be careful what you get good at or you try to get good at. Yeah, I mean, I agree with JC. So to me, this starts with all self-awareness and selecting the right things to get good at and to make sure that we're not inadvertently practicing the wrong things or things that we could get good at in the wrong direction. So, like most things with Unbeatable Mind, it all starts with a deep self-awareness of who we are and what we're meant to do, and then why, and then a narrowing down the selection of what it is that we're going to really dominate and master in our lives, and then how we're going to do that, right? So back to the self-assessment, who we are and why do we do what we do, and what is it that we're going to spend our time and energy on in this lifetime? Because, frankly, it's a one-shot deal, at least this go around, and we can't do everything and you can't be good at everything. So, it makes sense to get really, really narrowly focused on that which you're meant to be doing, which is connected to your who and your why. So once you get clear on that, then you choose the what, and then the how is how are you going to practice? And that requires a lot of self-assessment as well, because let's say you and I are both very clear that we're meant to be warriors and leaders and teachers and all that's great. So we're clear about the who and the why, and let's say it's almost the same, but I'm going to have different skills and talents than you. And we're going to express our uniqueness in a really different way. And so, we're going to practice different things. So, and we're going to practice it in a different way because we all learn in a different way and we all have different starting points based upon various factors. Okay, so there's a lot here. I think, one of the bigger points here is that whatever you're really doing repetitively, and you can even tie this into a discussion about habits, but I'm going to come back to habits at a later question. Whatever you're doing repetitively, you are greasing the groove of, neurobiological imprinting, which is going to make you good at it. And so, if you're practicing being a jerk, you're going to become a really good jerk if that's part of your habitual patterning, right? Both emotionally, mentally, cognitively, or with your communication style. So, to develop some great self-awareness about that, about your jerkness, and to, start to change it. Start practicing, the communications that will lead to not being a jerk, like assertiveness and, communicating from your heart and all those types of things. If you want to be a Navy SEAL and you're still eating, 2 pizzas every night and drinking a 6-pack of beer and skipping training, or you're not doing the deep self-awareness of really assessing where you need to go with your training regimen, then guess what? You're going to practice being not a SEAL someday. And I see that happening quite a bit. People show up because they haven't done the work. They haven't done this right self-assessment. Maybe their why is wrong. Maybe the what and the how, was off because they were practicing the wrong things, which made a permanent indelible mark on their body mind system, so that when they got tested or challenged in this fantasy ideal they had of being a Navy SEAL, they fail. So yeah, we have to get clear about the who and the why first, and then narrow down the range of the what and the how. And the what is going to be what's the outcome you're looking for, regardless, whatever your chosen, direction is in life. What is the outcome you're looking for? And, to be clear about that too, right? So if it's a warrior, is it to be the best warrior you can be so that you can, accomplish the mission? Or is it just to be a badass and go play Navy SEAL? I mean, there's a big difference there. And that means there's different habits and skills that you would work on, right? If you want to be a badass, go ahead and practice the skills of being a badass and you'll make them permanent eventually. Doesn't mean you're going to be a great warrior or a great leader or a good person, right? So I'm kind of hammering this one home, but really it's JC, you make a great point. Be careful what we choose to take on in life. Make sure it's the right thing. And if you get into it and you have this, if you have a growing certain sense of clarity that it's not the right thing and you've chosen improperly, then man, it is time to really take a hard look at that and to get out to make another choice. Right? I mean, for 4 years, I practiced the skills of being a certified public accountant, and I had this growing suspicion that perfection as a CPA was not going to make me the type of person that I wanted to be, or it wasn't connected to my who and my why. So I had to change that and then completely change the things that I was practicing so that I could develop the habits and the processes and the beingness of being a Navy SEAL. All right. At any rate, great question. Thanks very much. Hope I didn't ramble too much on that one. No doubt, I believe that mindset is the key towards succeeding in virtually every goal in your life. Success relies on mental performance, from your willpower to focus to emotional control, concentration. And people that have these skills stick to the goals, stick to their workout schedules, stick to their diets, and crush it in their careers and improving every aspect of their lives, becoming the best version of themselves that they can be. So caring for your body is awesome, but what about caring for your brain? If you're not caring for that, you're overlooking half the battle. That's where Qualia Mind comes in. Brought to us by Neurohacker Collective, Qualia Mind is the most comprehensive mental nutrition product on the market. It's designed to improve focus, clarity, and your mental energy within 30 minutes of taking it. Go to neurohacker.com, that's neurohacker.com, to try Qualia Mind and use the code UNBEATABLE for 15% off your first purchase. That's neurohacker.com. Try Qualia Mind or any of their other products with the coupon code UNBEATABLE and improve the quality of your mind. Hoo-yah. Jeff B. asks, how do you keep age or the impact of age out of your thought process on a daily basis? Well, that's a great one. I honestly think that our society is absolutely obsessed with age. If you see, someone quoted in an article, they always quote the age. I mean, who cares, right? Who cares? Age is just a number, right? It doesn't mean anything to me. And so that's the kind of the first thing is to reframe why is age important, right? Honestly, I don't give a hoot about my age. Sometimes I'm surprised. Sometimes I even forget, and I'll write down a different age, and it's just curious. Sometimes I'm like stunned that that I've come this far, and I still think, sometimes like I'm an 18-year-old, and sometimes I think like I'm a 39-year-old, and sometimes I probably think like I'm 150, and it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. A few things, though, that are more practical. If you want to be forever young, then you have to have habits that will keep you forever young. And I'm thinking, it's basically our SEAL Fit and Unbeatable Mind training model is a forever young model. The habits that I think are really important for you to consider doing, if you're not already, but to really add a little element of why to it around longevity and maintaining a perfect state of body, mind, and spiritual health forever, and living to an age that you think is enough, right? And that might be, for me, it's 150. It might be more. Who knows? Because tech is on our side. At any rate, daily movement is a no-brainer. Daily movement with lots of variety, with different levels of challenge, some high intensity, some stamina, some durability, some soft recovery type stuff. But you got to move the body and move the energy and keep the energy flowing. Along with movement comes the breath. So daily breathing practices, both with your movement and before and after, and at different parts of the day, because the breath is really what's drawing in life force prana, and of course that valuable oxygen that we need. And so you're constantly detoxifying your body, re-energizing your body, and keeping your energetic state really, really solid. right? Next is balancing, your physical being through proper fueling and proper rest and recovery, okay, and proper hydration. So hydration is a no-brainer. You want to just keep the fluid trickling in all day long. And I love the metaphor that you want to be more like a flowing river that you'd like to take a deep drink out of, as opposed to a stagnant pond that you come upon and you're like, ugh, that doesn't look very tasty. So if you don't drink constantly throughout the day, then your body is getting to be like that stagnant pond. You're pouring a little coffee in here and maybe some of you, maybe a little soda. I would recommend cutting that out, or any kind of like sugary drink like Gatorade. And that's just stagnating your body. It takes a while for your body to flush that out. But if you keep water just flowing in and like a drip system, then your whole, your body's 78% water. That 78% water is going to be fresh, and it's going to help, keep you nice and clean and your cells fueled and energized and whatnot. Now, we've talked a lot about fueling, and I've done podcasts on fueling, but generally speaking, I think a big key to longevity is eating less than what our society has led us to believe is important to eat or is needed. So I eat 2 meals a day, and then intermittent fasting is another big part of this. So those 2 meals are eaten between the hours of like 11:30 or 12 in the afternoon, and let's say between 6 and 7 in the evening. And the rest of the time I'm not eating. And so I think intermittent fasting and eating less than the Western prescription have a huge impact on longevity and, basically feeling younger every year, so to speak. I think also just periodic fasting. So my model is to intermittent fast at least 16 hours a day, and also to fast for about 36 hours twice a month. So that's going to be fun. I got a little challenge I'm putting together for next year that I think we'll all have fun with, called the 3-2-1 challenge, but I'm not going to get into that right now. That's just a little teaser, but it includes fasting. Okay. And then mantra is a big one. So one of my mantras is day by day in every way, younger and better. Hu-ya-hey. Day by day in every way, I'm younger and better. Hu-ya-hey. And it's not so much that I'm, like have to be younger, but I just like that, I used to say better and better, and that was an Emile QA thing. Day by day and every way, I'm getting better and better. But, have to put a little spin on it and make it rhyme. So, and I wanted to change, younger and better. One of those, swap it out anyway. So that's became day by day in every way, I'm younger and better. Hu-ya-hey. And guess what? This is one of my mantras when I do my burpees every morning. It's there for me when I wake up in the morning. And I think, it's part of that internal self-dialogue really has a big effect on your self-concept. So we've talked about quite a bit, but I would say the last thing is the future vision, right? The vision you have for yourself that you come back to in your visualization training is of an ideal body, ideal mind, ideal emotional state, you and your like best self, which is frozen in physical time, or in, I don't know if that's the right term, but what I mean is that when I look forward 30 years and look at my future me, it looks a lot like, in fact, it looks like a better version of me today, right? I'm fitter, I'm healthier, I'm more radiant with energy. I'm even more aligned in purpose and being able to serve more powerfully, and I'm happier and more peaceful, all that kind of stuff. And so that future person I'm becoming that has that gravitational pull isn't some codgy old man, you know what I mean? It's actually a better, younger version of myself. So I'm thinking, back to the unbeatable mind philosophy, age is what you make it, right? And I've seen 100-year-old yogis who are just cranking it and doing really well, and martial artists, and they're not physically decrepit at all. When I go back and visit Mr. Nakamura, who was my Zen master, he doesn't really look any different. His hair is a little bit grayer, but that's about it. And that was 30 years, and he was in his 40s when I was training with him back in the 80s, mid 80s, so gosh, he's in his 70s now or early 80s, and he looks the same. And that's what I'm talking about. Daily training, daily breathing, daily mantra, daily movement, daily fueling in the way we discussed, daily hydration, it's all pretty Mark 1 motto. So don't make more out of this age thing than it is. I think ultimately that we can be young for as long as we're meant to be. And then when we're ready to go, you say bye-bye. Okay, enough on that. Felipe O says in the Emotional and Intuitional Mountain, he's referencing, if you don't know, the 5 mountains of unbeatable mind are physical, mental, emotional, intuitional, and Kokoro, heart mind. So he says, in the Emotional Intuitional Mountain, what would be an ideal place to be at in 90 days? I can see physical and mental change a person can make, such as losing weight, building muscle, overcoming a fear, etc. But what would the Emotional Intuitional Mountains look like once a person has made breakthroughs? That's a great question. So it's true that there's more evidence in the physical, especially the physical, but even in the mental mountain, there's more evidence that you can kind of hang your hat on, right? So we like to start our 5 mountain integrated training with the physical and include physical in everything we do, because we don't like to separate the body, mind, and spirit. We think they're all trained together as one unified whole. So ultimately, you can also look at these. I've used this metaphor before as a kind of a Rorschach nesting doll, in that the physical is the outer, and you work on that and you see quick changes in the outer physique, right? The physical balance that you have, the way you sleep and recover, your musculature, your body mass index, your muscle tone, your 6-packs, whatever. All that will, you do the work, and guess what? It will change. It will change. You just got to do the work every day and make it fun. And then the mental mountain, a little bit harder, but you can, generally detect changes in your mental state when you start box breathing. For instance, most people will report that they feel more focused, more calm, and are able to concentrate longer, because box breathing is a concentration practice. Also, they feel more physiologically in balance, which basically is saying that they've been able to reduce the stress in their life and to manage their stress through the adaptive response of triggering their parasympathetic nervous system through the box breathing, which is, done when you breathe through your nostrils. So there's mental benefit, even though that is a physical/physiological process. I'm talking about box breathing. There's a clear mental change that can be experienced. There's not a single person who's been through Unbeatable Mind who has taken box breathing seriously who hasn't reported those benefits. So that's great. We want to be able to say, yeah, I got that. Now, emotional and intuitional, these are a little bit harder. I'm writing a chapter in my book. There's 2 chapters I've been really laboring over. One is the emotional power, which is all about emotional development and your background of obviousness. And the other is communicating with heart. And the reality is, the insights I've been having is that communication and emotional development are almost the same thing. You will communicate at a level of your emotional awareness and your emotional development. And it just seems so obvious when I say that, but it's been looked at almost like as a practical social skill, but it really is kind of a character expression. Communication is an expression of your character as opposed to some sort of tactical skill. And so one way to look at your emotional progress is your ability to shut your trap and listen with more, intention or quietude, I guess, or with more seriousness of trying to understand what someone is trying to communicate to you, as opposed to immediately reacting or responding in those habitual patterns. And secondarily, to develop skillful communications, or to observe more skillful communications as a result of the training that you've been doing. Now, Felipe says 90 days. I'm looking at this and saying, okay, in 90 days, doing the foundational work of Unbeatable Mind, such as the movement and the changes in your fueling plan and intermittent fasting and all that practical, tactical, external stuff, and adding box breathing through the morning ritual, just do that, right? 90 days is not very long. I would not be thinking I'm going to have emotional transformation and intuitive insights in 90 days. I think that comes more in 9 months. That's why Unbeatable Mind is a minimum year-long training. It is not a quick fix. I'm not a neurohacker by any stretch of the imagination, right? I've got friends who are neurohackers. I get where they're coming from. They're approaching it from the the biological brain is a computer kind of perspective. I believe that. I don't think the brain is a computer. I think brain is a complicated organ that helps us make meaning, helps our mind find expression and make meaning, but our mind is not our brain. And so in order to penetrate the mysteries of the mind, you got to work with the brain, and you got to get it clear, and you got to calm it down, and you got to curate all the crap out of it in terms of the context and the habitual thinking. There's a lot to work on. And when you do begin to work on that, what happens is you get through the mental mountain, and now you're able to concentrate more. You're able to clear your head and on demand. You're able to use the witness process to begin to develop your emotional awareness. And then you'll be able to see some real progress. And the way you communicate with others will be evidence of that. And then the intuitional mountain, again, this one even comes after the emotional, because intuition, essentially what we're saying is we're being able to listen to the language of our belly and our heart and our other, sensory organs like our skin, and also the ability to, what we call transrational intuition is, information coming from outside of our, our normal senses, but still, we're perceiving it. So this is advanced training. That's why Intuitional Mountain is fourth mountain. And like that Rorschach nesting doll, it's right there. It's the fourth one in. You have to go through the physical to clarify and control the mental. And then you have to go through the mental to develop awareness and control the emotional, or to develop the emotional. And then what happens now is, because your body mind system is able to experience total stillness, you're able to hear the language of the belly and the heart, the language of your instincts, the language of your heartfelt intuition, or the heart's kind of emotive power. And also you'll be able to get direct insight or inspiration from your perceiving mind, which is not your rational mind. So you might say that's right brain versus left brain. I don't look at it quite that compartmentalized, but the Intuitional Mountain, you're going to be able to start to pick up sensations and information, again, 9 months to a year into your training. So be patient with this work. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is an unbeatable mind. So be patient. Generally, just follow the practice. Journaling is a terrific way to begin to notice the emotional and the intuitive changes that come, and also the alignment that comes from the Kokoro Mountain, which is really about aligning with your passion, purpose, principles, and your why, so to speak. Wow, such a great question. Kind of went off on some major tangents here. Maybe not tangents, but there's a lot to talk about. Hey folks, I want to tell you about a product developed by a friend of mine, Navy SEAL Dr. Kirk Parsley. It's called the Sleep Remedy. I tried it recently during my Unbeatable Mind Summit, and boy, this stuff works. I can't say enough good things about it. I fell asleep quickly, didn't wake up feeling groggy, and I was like rock and rolling the next day. Doc Parsley designed this to help Navy SEAL teammates back in 2009. They had been coming to him, and they were having a huge problem with sleep. And this is not just SEALs and Spec Ops that have this problem. It's everybody, or many people, I should say, who are hyper successful. So he concocted these things from things that are normally associated with developing, or the chemicals that are in your brain that help facilitate sleep. And so he pulled them together, and now he's put it all into one, powder-based product. It's been hugely successful. He's been on the market now for a little while. And, what he said in his talk to us was that everything is degraded when you don't sleep. Your emotions, your emotional balance, your decision-making, problem-solving, your impulse control, willpower, they're all degraded because these are all controlled by your prefrontal cortex. And it gets impaired by up to 30% with one single night of sleep where you're deprived. And then furthermore, all of your hormones, testosterone, growth hormone, and they all decrease. The production of those decrease by also up to 30% with just a single night of sleep where you're deprived. And deprived could be just a limited, just an hour off. Dr. Parsley's sleep remedy designed to concentrate the most important nutrients that you need when you're preparing to go to sleep. It is drug-free. It's a nutritional supplement. And thousands of people, like I said, have tried it. First responders, Navy SEALs, athletes, CEOs, and they all find that it's very useful. If you're interested in trying it, there's an unlimited, no questions asked, money back guarantee. And you can get 10% off by entering the code UNBEATABLEMIND when you order it at DocParsley, DocParsley.com. So enter Unbeatable Mind in the coupon code box at DocParsley.com. I recommend you check it out. Hoo-yah. This is like a micro Unbeatable Mind training session here. It's pretty cool. Okay, Heather L says, question, I'd like to instill in my kids the 5 mountain principles. Where would be a good place to start? Well, with kids, you really have to keep things simple and really just give them a fun way to engage in the training. So certainly the physical mountain, I'm going to be redundant here because this stuff is obvious to me, but I got to say it here. But the physical mountain with the kids is try to get them to eat, move, and sleep. Eat well, move every day, and try to get a full, 9 hours of sleep is what these kids need. So that's no brainer. Everyone already knows that, but it has such a big impact. And they can say, okay, yeah, I'm doing the first mountain. The first mountain is eat, move, sleep. Now, as far as the mental mountain, the one thing that I would work with kids is just the metaphor of feeding the courage wolf. Get them to begin to pay attention to their internal dialogue and then to make sure that it's positive and courageous. So use the courage wolf metaphor, the story, and get them to basically, start talking to themselves positively and courageously and powerfully, so they don't talk themselves out of things but into things, and begin to refine the brain in that regards early on. Next is box breathing. Teaching the kid box breathing has been very effective for a lot of Unbeatable Mind parents, because box breathing for them really helps them calm down and control what's going on in their confused body, or their growing body, I should say. So box breathing is a great way to get into kind of the emotional and intuitive development without really getting into more advanced training that would require a lot more depth of concentration and insight or knowledge. And, I know a lot of parents who box breathe with their kids at dinner, or they teach their kids how to box breathe when they get stressed at school, or, if they're bullied or something like that, box breathe, feed the courage wolf, right? Boom. And then I would say the last thing here is for you as a parent to model like authentic listening with your heart, really, really just through your own practice, being more present with your kids, as opposed to, pushing them in directions that they may not want to go, or, being distracted while they're trying to communicate. They really just want you to be there for them and with them. And frankly, I think kids come in and are going to unfold the way they're unfolding. They're meant to unfold unless parents get in the way. And then it creates a lifetime of problems, because now you get pushed into careers that are wrong. You get pushed into belief systems. I mean, look at all the crazy, racial tension and all this stuff. Kids don't come in as racist. It's basically learn from their parents. So just make sure you're not doing any of that. Acknowledge and investigate your own biases. We all have them. And develop your own unbeatable mind. And then just be there for your kids and let them unfold in life the way they're meant to be. Kids are not, they come through you, but they're not meant to be like little replicas of you. Anyways, it's my opinion. It's worth exactly what you're paying for it, which is right now nothing. How's that? Okay, I think we have time for one more. I'm going to have to split this into 2 podcasts. Who knew I'd be so long-winded? I guess I did. All right, so this question comes from Robert P. When working with other people that you know and like, but you're competing for pieces of a financial pie, what's the best approach? I've always tried to adhere to the law of attraction, maintain a belief there's plenty to go around, but it seems like a delicate balance in the ecosystem of business competition. That's true. I imagine Robert works in a financial industry or, competing for sales. the way that our business has been organized in the industrial age really has a lot of kind of win-lose competition in it. So, be aware of that first of all, but also be aware that we're moving toward a different model, and we can lead the charge. I like the term world-centric, and so Unbeatable Mind is developing world-centric warrior leaders. World-centric warrior leaders. So that type of leader is someone who takes care and concern for all of humanity into consideration. So that in the terms of competition, we're not going to compete at a level that degrades or destroys the environment or other people or other cultures. At the same time, we need to make a living. And so this is where the idea of law of attraction might make sense. It's like, okay, if we orient ourselves to serving the world, serving humanity, but also doing, serving as many people in humanity as we can, then essentially we're going to attract to ourselves a certain type of clientele and energy that's going to, ensure our success over the long run. I believe that. Having said that, I know at a very practical level, some of us are like, hey, if I'm a CPA in a small town or a financial planner or a lawyer or even a doctor or whatever, I've got to basically just go out and sell into the local marketplace. Well, I really do think that the way you present yourself as a innovator, as someone who's committed to some of these values like sustainability and world centrism, and really is attracting, the type of client that you want to work with, then that you basically start a whole nother category, right? It's like that blue ocean. That's another great book to look at, the blue ocean strategy. The concept there is just, compete in a different arena, create a different arena. So redefine yourself as a world-centric warrior leader. And in the SEALs, what we used to use this term, or I did anyways, called co-opetition. It's like, yeah, I'm competing with my teammates, but we did it with an intense spirit of cooperation because we needed each other. And that's the point. We all need each other. Ultimately, we all want the same things. Competition, when done just for the purpose of winning or getting something at the expense of others, is not right. It's not going to work very well in the future. And so the more that you can differentiate yourself now and in a heartfelt way, I mean, I meant in a really authentic way, not just like some marketing, splash, then you'll be able to be cooperative and competitive. So co-opetition, and ultimately that abundance mentality will lead to more resources for you, more wealth, more, peace of mind, and you'll be redefining what it means to win, which is, I think, really important in these days. So there you have it. Thanks very much for listening. I appreciate your time and for supporting us. This podcast, is found at unbeatablemindcom/podcast or my new markdivine.com website, which I haven't really promoted yet, but I'm just kind of waiting for the right time when I launch my new book next year. But anyways, the podcast is there. And so if you have any other questions or this sparks some thinking, then go leave a comment on one of those pages or on our social media, our Facebook page or Twitter or whatnot. Okay. Thanks very much. You guys rock. Stay focused, train every day, embrace the suck, and develop that unbeatable mind. Hoo-yah. Divine out.